Hello, my name is Christina Straub. I'm a professor of English at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And I'm Janine Barchas, and I'm professor of English at the University of Texas in Austin, where I teach Austin with an E and Austin with an I.
I think I first fell in love with Will, oddly, when I started realizing as a much more mature person how weird his plays were, as opposed to the sort of awful Julius Caesar high school reading experience, which I had along with everybody else.
Also force-fed Shakespeare in high school. Not sure if I was made a convert by that experience. Maybe our show is partly a reaction to that, to make literature and the humanities more appealing and more fun than they are as sort of revered texts in the classroom, and they are wonderful. But I think I came to that party a little late.
A lot of people in today?
Oh yeah,
Good.
This is the main story of this show. We are celebrating, and you have been celebrating all year, Shakespeare's 400th mark of his afterlife. And next year, all the Janeites in the world will be celebrating Jane Austen's anniversary of her death, or marking it with various things, at the 200 mark. So Shakespeare at 400, Jane Austen at 200. We're living in a very unique age where, for the moment, Jane Austen is halfway to the kind of celebrity that Shakespeare has attained over the course of 4 centuries. And this whole thing started with a conversation with Mike Whitmore saying, hey, Jane Austen's giving Will Shakespeare a run for his money. What are you gonna do about it? And the answer was, let's put Jane in the building and see if we can help Will out. But what we're really looking at then in the entire show is, let's look at them on an equal footing. What did Shakespeare look like at the 200 mark? And let's compare that first wave of bardolatry to Jane Austen and the cult of Jane today. That's your story. That connects everything and all the cases. But most of these objects themselves are not like first folio objects where there's a reverence around them. Most of the objects in the 18th century, as our labels point out, were the kitsch of the 18th century. And we're putting it next to the kitsch and the tchotchkes of the current time.
So don't be seduced by the patina of age into thinking that there's any real substantial difference between a porcelain figurine made in the 18th century celebrating Shakespeare and one made in the 20th century celebrating Jane Austen.
And so that'll make the old things seem hip again, and it'll make the new things seem like they're part of a serious trajectory that started centuries ago. So there's a way in which it should work in both directions. And I hope that every tour that you give is balanced between the sort of silly and the, hey, that should make us think about our own material culture and the way we celebrate Jane Austen and Shakespeare today. The Folger Shakespeare Library provides, of course, the magnificent setting for Will and Jane, and the Folger has supplied the exhibition with practically all of the Shakespeare relics in the show. But a number of other institutions have also provided important materials, including the University of Texas at Austin. The HRC, the Harry Ransom Center, loaned James Joyce's coffee-stained paperback of As You Like It, for example, as well as this gilded peacock edition of Pride and Prejudice owned by novelist Evelyn Waugh, and even Cassandra Austen's own copy of her sister's Emma. Then in UT's Oxford summer program in 2014, we were given permission by the vergers of Winchester Cathedral to take a grave rubbing of Austen's marker as she lies in the side aisle of Winchester Cathedral. And that grave rubbing now hangs at the end of Will and Jane, next to a rubbing of Shakespeare's gravestone, which was taken in the 19th century. Also, UT's design studio, run by LAITS, Liberal Arts Instructional Technology Services, recreated the Boydell Shakespeare Gallery, which was the first museum dedicated to Shakespeare, as it looked in 1796, the year of Jane Austen's likeliest visit. LAITS has digitally reconstructed this 18th century museum as a public website, which is now also a proud part of Will and Jane, as a touchscreen in the exhibition. A number of UT undergraduates were again involved on this project as artists, designers, and coders, helping to create something really quite extraordinary.